Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. I'm excited about this episode because, you know what? We're going to have some fun shenanigans, fun-loving criminals in the house. Darren Rue, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm great.
James, Jimmy Jam, how you doing?
Morning, Russ. I'm doing great. Thank you.
You ready for this episode?
Completely ready.
Awesome. You know, one of the things that I love about you guys is you thought about this idea. Darren, actually, D-Roo had the opportunity to jump on the Pirate Broadcast a little while ago and was a great guest, and we talked about a lot of different things. And all of a sudden, you guys were out there, you were starting to create, you were starting to collaborate, have a conversation. And I think we have a couple of things in the works that people can stay tuned for. And I just want to make sure that you're paying attention to D-Roo and Jimmy Jam, because I think there's some good things coming ahead. So you want to share a couple of ideas that you've been working on, James?
Yeah, we're super excited. It's been an interesting journey thus far, and we've done a couple of, as easy approaches to breaking into the Washington real estate platform. And Darren and I we've worked together, we've been friends for over a decade. Worked together with Bismarck, the group I'm with now. Mm-hmm. And one night he called up and said, "What are you doing?" It's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, "I'm in the, me, I'm in the garage washing cars, man." And he goes, "You need to figure out how to do that during the day with your day job." And, it just started a great idea. And it's all too often we get wrapped up in the day to day and think rigid. And it's funny because I don't think rigid at all when it comes to real estate, get really creative real quick. And so that's where that marriage came together. Yeah. And then just the chance to meet with you. And I know Darren was on the show and that introduction. And then we had a chance to talk, and we're super excited to get that going officially, supporting real estate agents, supporting builders, and coming at it from a platform of knowledge and understanding and creativity, and throwing a car wash. Why not, right?
Yeah. So, well, I think what I loved about it is, detailing cars is about some of the details that a lot of people need to, appreciate. Because if you're not in the business, you're not really appreciating all of the details that are required to move the business forward. And contractors, I have a soft spot for contractors and builders and tradespeople and people in the trades that are doing some great work. So I applaud you, and I was totally in support of what you're doing. So it's awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I mean, you're right. It's interesting. It's like when it comes to car detailing, nobody understands like a 2-bucket system or a 3-bucket system. And I could elaborate on that, but it's the same thing in real estate. You just can't go buy a piece of property. You have to do your research. You have to do it's discipline. And it's one of my favorite words in the business. And it really does parallel. And so we're super excited to pull that in. We also love elevating others. It's even with the series that we do on Fridays with DJ, with Silver Fox Talks, we want to elevate groups. It really is something to celebrate others. And we just completely, we enjoy that. And we look to bring that to the weekday stuff that we're doing with you too. So we're super excited to be working with you. Can't tell you how much that means to both of us. We feel like we're running in place, but we're also patient. We know that in due time, it's all going to make sense here, because there's a lot of work ahead. Everybody knows that. Everybody works hard. That's what being an entrepreneur is, but that's also so motivating. I love that. I love the idea that we get to be creative every day, especially in this COVID environment. We have to be supportive of each other, or the alternative is, everyone's going to go a little bit stagnant and potentially a little bit more lazy. And this is a great time for innovation. The world's forced that on us with the COVID environment. So we're excited to bring that in a time that people are looking for that inspiration and creativity too, because it drives us.
I think I want to amplify a little bit about what you said about shining the light, or, highlighting others, because these contractors, they're busy, they're rolling out their sleeves, they're going out on the job site, they're doing some things, these custom builders, especially, lots of moving parts. It's not as if we're on an assembly line where we can actually do something over and over again. It's the same kind of thing over and over again, but the details are different. So they might use a 2-bucket system. They might use a 3-bucket system. Sometimes it's juggling plates. Sometimes it's, any number of things. So it's just like you and I, D-Roo, on the music side, every track is, every experiment, every, tone is different. And it's all of these things that are mixing and meshing that allow us to actually create something amazing. And when you add value to the world, James, it always works out.
Yeah. 100%. And Darren, I'd love for you to chime in here on the new platform, because that vision was something that came from you. So I can't thank you enough for that, and I'm super excited as you know, but
that stuff is super easy when you have talented people in front of you, right, Russ? Like, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity to work next to James at Bismarck, albeit I was terrible. I showed up and I worked hard, but I wasn't good at it. I was a good builder. I built a lot of houses, somewhere around 1,000 total, and I'm pretty much over that in my life, right? And then this enters, and I see James during COVID, and I see these realtors not doing anything around me. And then I see a lot of people getting into real estate because they don't have jobs. Yeah. And the one thing that's been consistent since I've known James is at night, he's wiping those cars down, and that's his quiet time. And if you get him on the phone in those hours, it's genius, right? It's not necessarily real estate. It's, you're getting like the cream has risen to the top, like the day is decompressed and all the craziness. And then bam, he gets these ideas, and the greatest thing is he doesn't think he's a genius, right? And he's really, really good at listening to people. And so, James, I know you don't like that kind of idea, but I think what allows you to be good at this is because you're listening always, and maybe you don't have an answer. And then when you're detailing, it comes up. And so when he's doing the detailing live in front of somebody, Russ, I'm videoing, and I can see his neck muscles, like he's talking, and here's some real estate facts, and this is what I need to do. And then all of a sudden, he's detailing this car and this guy, and he's like, hey, you tell me about something. And like, it's a whole nother experience. Yeah. And then there's this huge engagement feeling that happens. And I wanted the world to know that there are people out there like James that are willing to give your wisdom and pull wisdom out of other people. And while we pull it out of other people, they get elevated. James gets elevated because he knows what questions to ask. He knows how to listen. And being a good listener in the financial business, I mean, you can be a sniper, because the people that don't listen and move too fast, they get wiped out when big stuff happens. So if you're slow and steady and you listen and you play the long game, you win. And I see James doing that. I mean, he's been at Bismarck for, I think, like 130 years. And here we are. I'm kidding, because I don't really keep jobs. I just keep making new businesses. Yeah. But here we go with James. And what happened was a level of excitement out of a good friend that was helping him in business. And when he's doing business, those people are excited to be around him because he's excited to be there now. So you take 30 something years of consistent, I mean, what is it? 50,000 deals, James? Loans?
Yeah, 50,000 transactions. Yeah.
You're going to lose touch with people at 50,000 anything. And so although you are every customer in contact with you, James, like something happens when you shake the tree and go, I'm not doing it this way. And you go do something different. And that's just what's happening. And from this, there's a whole new audience, a whole new group of people that are going to come up that we've never even met, because now we're just in a different place. speaking a different language of things that really matters to James. The reset mindset is not a marketing thing. Like, it is what matters to James and I. And on the outside of that, people get an opportunity to know us. And from there, they can decide if they want to do business, you know? And from the outside looking in, I've watched some replays, and James is the kind of guy I want on my financial team because he's not going to take me down. Actually, I've seen James tell people no more than anything because he cares. Stop, guys. You're doing the wrong thing. I can't help you here. If I gave you money, you're going to crash into a tree, you know, and they don't always want to hear that. And so here we are. We're just in a whole nother world saying the same thing of, hey, we want you to take care of yourself and we want to help elevate you. It's the same thing with financing. It's the same thing.
Well, the one thing that I think is key to that, and the reality that James brings to the table, is he listens to understand, not to respond.
Yeah.
And that is so important, James, because I think that in this day and age, we have to understand what the landscape is. We have to understand what the roadmap is. And because you're 50,000 transactions, you can navigate that and you can help guide them. And that's the beauty of what you're doing is, just like detailing a car, you're going through the details and starting to have a conversation, and you're just listening to what they need help with. And then by asking great questions, it allows them to think of the answers that they really need to, the conclusion that they need to come up with. And so I suspect that happens all the time in your business, where you need to guide somebody and bring out some things that they may not see that could happen, or potential opportunities that they haven't considered.
Yeah, it's interesting. A few years ago, the owner was asking me how much of your time is spent consulting versus marketing and selling, and I said 80, and he said, really? And I said, no. I said 90, and I said, and maybe that's not even high enough. The reality is the market changes. Builders have a lot of headwinds in any market, whether it's going up or down, or lumber's going sky high. It doesn't matter. There's always something. Darren and I call it hot potato. It's always going to be something in their business. And the last thing they need is to be trying to grasp the capital markets. And there's nothing proprietary about lending money. There's nothing proprietary really about building homes.
Yeah.
It's what is the secret? What's the value add? What's that secret sauce that you're adding in there? And, one of my favorite things to do with clients is the last thing you really need is another money guy. What you really need to decide is what are you looking for? Change the conversation around versus what can I do for you? What are your needs? And all too often, rather than trying to just put them into one box, I might not be the best fit. If we go back 10 years ago, there was maybe 10, 12 competitors that I needed to look out, in the landscape. Today, if you want to finance a spec project up in Seattle or Bellevue, there's about 75 guys you can call. So you really now
could probably get money on Craigslist right now.
Yeah,
I bet you on the weekend. It's crazy.
We literally have it's endless out there. But the bottom line is, what is it you're looking for, and what are you looking for in a relationship with the money source? Because that kind of value add, longer term money, maybe there's a better fit elsewhere. Shorter term money, higher leverage, different things. And all too often, I'll just hand those deals off because it makes more sense. It's about the relationship. It's Darren and I have a saying that we absolutely have an agenda, and it's to have no agenda. We do not want to come in expecting, I don't expect a sale. I want to understand what it is that you have. And through those conversations, how often do we not interview customers and find out where their needs are, then decide if we're a good fit, and then expert guide them. So,
and I think that is so key. And I just want to chime in here and say that not every customer, not every client, not every transaction is right for you. And when you come from an abundance mindset and understanding about really what the transaction is about, or what the business is about, or what the goals of this process actually are, you can come at it from a objective perspective rather than, oh, I got to do this transaction or my lights are turned off.
Yeah.
It's a much different perspective than going in and having to close the deal, having to book the business. And I think that you've been doing this long enough to understand the difference between a good deal, a great deal, and one that you can really add value to. And if it's not ideal and it's not good for both sides, you're the type of person that's not going to really push it forward or manage it to the degree that you have to. So I think that's really what you were saying, D-Ru, is it's like, listen, pay attention, understand when it's the right time, and make the right moves at the right time.
Definitely. One of the things, I mean, I joked about money being on Craigslist, but the thing is, like, the market's flooded with bad capital. And like, I'm not in the industry right now, but I understand what that means. And so if your Uncle Tony has money and now he's like, hey, we could do this flip together. Like, those opportunities, I used to get a call a week about that, like, let's do this. My grandma's house is, we could flip it or whatever. And the problem is, those people are willing to back, but with no partnership or wisdom or outlook on what are you doing? What's the end goal here? And so people enter into things without knowing what the finish line is. And the one thing I see as I got to work alongside James is, like, when he tells someone no, it's never because they don't want to do a deal. It's because mutually it's not good for either both. And there's so much bad capital out there. And if you take that into your business, it's like working with gangsters. Maybe this time it's not a gangster, but that person is out for themselves typically. Yeah. Even if it's Uncle Tony, like, I can't, James, how many of those have we seen where it's some family member or a friend, and now they're, oh, I built a house with my dad when I was 3, and now I have money, and you can build a house and we'll make money. And you hear this story, it seems like it makes sense, but those people often get hurt. And if you have a partner like James and even when I'm not borrowing money from James and I bounce those ideas off of him. Here's another client. Here's another this. And he says, hey, be careful in this way. Or he's asking me questions, right? Yeah. Why would you do that is usually the question that I have to answer, right? Because am I doing it out of desperation or inspiration? That's the other thing we're always questioning each other on. And if you're entering a deal out of desperation, you're going to take whatever money is at hand so you can go somewhere quickly. And James is paying attention to those small details that you and I don't notice. And that's what, makes him different. And it washes out the dangerous money from your business, It's hard to explain that to people though. And so that's why I wanted to jump in.
It is hard to explain to people. And I think has to be appreciation. And Howard Kaufman says it. And I think this is what it boils down to is it's the relationship. Stupid. It's like,
that's right.
You don't have to have contact with everyone in the world. You just have to have contact in the people that you want to build relationships with. And D-Ru, that's what you and James have built. And I think that's what goes back to the 50,000 transaction that James has developed over time. A complete understanding, James, of what it takes to have a successful outcome. And it's not just the transaction that's the outcome, it's the entire process. And if it doesn't work from start to finish, I think you have the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience to understand that that's not what will take place if you hand somebody some capital to work with.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's exciting. I also wanted to mention, I've noticed we've got some great people here in the chat. We've got looks like we've got
Sherry Lawley's here.
Yeah, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Yeah, morning.
Silver Fox Talks.
There's DJ.
I learned so much from these guys. Absolutely.
She's been so amazing.
She's now co-hosting with us on Fridays, such a great connection.
Absolutely.
We love that show platform. You know, it's that was really inspired by her. I mean, it was great because she's out there delivering that message, and ton of respect for her. Just can't say enough good things. So.
The first time I met DJ was on Gabe Lil's. I think it was like a 4-hour marathon. We were just having a great time, a great conversation. Marcia Rees, who is a phenomenal business owner and entrepreneur.
Hey, Marcia.
I
Morning.
became fast
Morning.
friends with Marcia, and she actually has this amazing product that is Stay Well. It's Stay Well Copper.
Okay.
And the backstory, if you haven't listened to that episode, you know, you go check out Marcia's episode. And I look forward to doing more. In fact, one of the things that I'm going to be doing with Marcia is figuring out how I can give away her product on a drawing from the show. So people that come and show up for the show and bring some, you know, comments to the table and things like that, and engagement. And we're going to be giving some prizes away. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Giving back on those kind of platforms is wonderful. And again, that's what I really appreciate about your platform, Russ, that you're elevating others daily with your show. It's amazing. It fits in super, just perfectly with the vision that Darren and I share. You know, it's just great. So congratulations to Marshall. I'll definitely check out that episode.
It's a really cool product too. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a really cool product. And also Howard, you know, I got Howard, you know, I'm a huge fan of oral mouth care product, and
Okay.
I'm going to get some product and give it away from him as well. So
very cool.
Just things like that we can actually add value, highlight other people, and bring some, you know, experience to the table. And that's what I really enjoyed about you, D-Roo, James, the conversation we had is like, how can we bring value to the table? How can we bring and shine the light on some other people and make that great? And like I said, you know, I have a soft spot for contractors. So some custom home builders, I'd love to see them come into the conversation. And I know that you have those connections. So I'm looking forward to mini episodes.
It's been so funny. We didn't expect to have Friday be, you know, take off in the engagement level we had. This whole idea from the beginning was, hey, what are we going to do to help James survive COVID business forecasting, right? And how do we get out of the office when we can't get out of the office? Like that was the seed idea. Mm-hmm. And now Friday has become a place where people from all around the world now are coming and hanging out and being a part, you know, and the guests we've had have had nothing to do with real estate and everything to do with what we're doing. And it's just bringing more people, because I wouldn't say we're giving value, but the entertainment is we're bringing people that are amazing people that have these insanely beautiful gifts. And maybe that gift's a comment, or maybe that gift's a poem, or maybe that gift is giving. You know, every week has been a little different, and it really started out random. But I think as we've gone, it just we really realized like there's a lot of power in not really focusing on, hey, look what I do, look what I'm doing. No one cares. Everybody knows James does loans for homes. Like. Yeah. You know, until I stopped saying, yes, I'll build homes, everybody came to me for houses all the time. And now I say, no, I don't do that. And now, you know, we keep elevating others and people keep going, what can I do to elevate you? And we're like, we don't need your help. Just show up Friday. And everybody's like, what can we do? Just come Friday. And it's just become so fun. You know, we've really look forward to Friday. It's like this huge outlet. And every time, you know, on the outside, we're getting these new connections and all of this other engagement. But what we didn't realize is that we were going to have a community feeling to tie a bow on the end of our week with the show that we created out of our garages, you know, and that that to me feels really amazing to be a part of, because there's a lot of people that just need community. And I think we're trying to do honest community with people and show like, hey, James and I are normal people with problems, and he and I work them out together. And like, that'll be, people will see that as we go, you know. And it's just been, I feel so much better than I did a year ago because of Fridays. And I've had a lot of groups that I've run and all kinds of stuff like that. It's just different.
That speaks volumes, D-Roo. That speaks volumes. I think it's important for everybody to understand that when you actually truly remove the expectation of what you get out of it and you just add value, it all comes back. It always comes back. And this is like the community here. I'll be meeting Howard tonight, you know, another collaboration, another connection. Big Smile needs his products. This Big Smile needs his products.
DJ has a great smile. Yeah.
But Marcia says, thanks for the shout out, Russ. Such a good episode. And she sees the value in this combination and this collection of experience that James you bring to the table. And D-Roo, you see that spark. You saw around the corner. You saw that vision. And you know, when we connected, it just kind of came together like a spark. And you know, just okay, we're just fueling this flame here. And I think it could go anywhere and just explode. So, you know, the combination is absolutely productive. So,
and it will, Russ. The momentum we already have it doesn't feel even real. It's, you know, we joke about sort of internet fake famous, but that's what happens when you start pushing yourself over the line here and people start treating you differently. Like, and we're just normal. We're just normal.
we're all normal.
Or I'm normally abnormal, I should say, is what I fall into.
Well, I've never been able to fit inside the box because I create my own every time I turn around.
I'm standing in a box I created, man. I know.
Well, when you sent me that picture of the organ, it's like, yes, all right, cool.
Everybody said, "What are you doing?" But it's.
I want to ask you guys before we wrap up here. And you know, one of the initiatives that I have this year, after 420 episodes, I want to start asking guests on the show, James, why would somebody want to listen to this episode, and what value can they expect to receive from it?
You know, my hope is that somebody understands that conversations like this apply in all business, and relationship is so important. And, you know, look at the way the world has moved. Look at just going back 10, 15 years ago with travel agents versus Expedia today. I mean, there's so much information out there. I always start from a position that people assume and understand where the markets are at. And in the sense of, I talk about it openly, because if they don't know it, they tell me, and then I can go deeper. And so I think that this applies to all business. This isn't just about real estate. It isn't just about washing cars. It really does apply to all business, and how critical that is. Put yourself in the shoes of the buyer, especially when you're in a position to help guide them. And you're right, that's what pays back. I can't tell you how many times that organic growth, it comes from that. Yeah, and that's critical. And I hope that that's the message that people understand. And I'm just thankful to work with a group that supports that, because not a lot of employers do. So I have to give a shout out back to my team, saying, thanks for letting James do what he does, because that's why I'm there. That's why I'm there 27 years. So yeah, that's my hope.
Awesome. D-Roo, you want to add to that?
You know, I think the one thing we're trying to bring is community and honesty to the relationships and to business. And so if you're doing that, that's the takeaway. And we want to be in your network and vice versa. So, you know, that's what we're looking to do is create bigger community right now.
We are just humans being human.
I love that.
DJ says, Silver Fox Talks. I love this combination. I love the coordination, the collaboration. And like I always say, you're only one conversation away, because kindness is cool and smiles are free.
Smiles are free.
And I want you to enjoy the day. James, D-Roo, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate both of you guys. And don't go away. We'll be right back.
That was fun. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Russ.
Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.